All right guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. On today's video, I want to tell you guys about turbo cartridge replacements and how this is the cheapest, most affordable option, at least for my car, the Honda Civic R18, that we have a turbocharger on it. This is a TB25 turbocharger that we've been rocking for some time, and if you guys go back to my channel, you guys will know that I've had a lot of smoking issues out of the exhaust for some time now, and I took a couple days off of work and I actually fixed my smoking issue, so I don't really need this turbo anymore because it wasn't the turbo. But I'm going to tell you guys about my issue, and I'm going to tell you guys quickly about the turbo cartridge and why these are awesome replacements for turbochargers. When you're buying a new turbo, you have a couple options. One is you get the whole turbo charger setup. On my car, that's about $240 for the entire turbocharger. So comparing it to the turbo cartridge that cost me $120, that's a lot of savings. Now, turbos wear and tear, and usually the wear and tear are inside these cartridges because those cartridges house the bearings, the thrust bearings, and all the vital components are inside, lubricated with oil. So that goes bad. It's rarely ever the housing on the compressor, or rarely ever the housing on the turbine, unless you crack them, which could possibly be a case, but that's pretty rare. Now, the other reason I didn't get a new turbo is, one, cost, but two, I already ported my wastegate hole over here in order to flow more exhaust gases out of the turbo, so we maintain that boost pressure a little bit more efficiently. Now, if I got a new turbo with a new hot side, I would have to report the whole thing again, so I didn't want to go that route. And again, that's why if you don't want to make changes on your compressor housings or turbine housings, just get a brand new turbo cartridge replacement. Like I said, this one was about $120 online, and these come balanced. You would hope to believe they come balanced. That's what the seller does say. And I mean, you could definitely see notches on the turbine and the compressor that indicate that it has been balanced to some degree, as you can see right over there, which is good. Now, I'm not going to be installing this turbocharger for two reasons. One reason is it came very poorly packaged. Like, this was the bag over the turbo, and it's in this styrofoam container, so the bag kind of broke in a few spaces, and a bunch of styrofoam just got all over the turbo, inside the turbo by the feed. And you know what, I don't really want to risk it. I've blown an engine before. I don't want to risk things clogging up some of the oil ports and then having issues with the turbo kit and the engine. So that's one reason. And the second reason is we bought that turbo when we took a couple days off to work on the car, because I kept having smoking issues out of the exhaust. And what we ended up doing is completely changing the drain on the turbo. So we got a new oil pan for the car from the junkyard. We re-tapped the oil pan at a way better angle, so it drains way more efficiently. We have a crankcase vent hose from the oil pan venting out to atmosphere now, which is probably, I've never seen that before on any car. I don't know if I'm the first one, but I haven't seen anybody else do that. And the turbo is draining much more efficiently. Very, very minimal smoke, if any. So, you know, we thought the turbocharger was the culprit the whole time with this build and why it was smoking. But after countless of experiments, trial and error, we determined the turbo was perfectly fine. I didn't need a restrictor because I ran this turbo within the restrictor. Finally got rid of the restrictor, so the turbo is happy because it's getting all the lubrication that it needs, and it's not starving the turbo for anything, and we're not blowing any smoke. So for those two reasons, I'm returning the turbo. But again, this is your best option because there's really only three options, three options really. Replacing the entire turbo, which is the easiest. It's only going to require 4 bolts. Then you can do turbo cartridge replacement, which is the second easiest but the cheapest, and that's going to require probably about 10 bolts. And then the most complicated process, but definitely the cheapest, is getting a turbo rebuild kit for your center cartridge, and I have that right there. I'll show you right now. That one's even cheaper. That one's about $30, and you're probably going to be stuck removing 20 bolts. So depending on how much you want to pay, how fast you want it done, those are your three options when you're replacing a turbocharger. There's pros and cons to each one. You got to figure out which one works best for you. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Check out the channel, check out the IG, buy some merch on Big Cartel Bully Kid, and we'll see you on the next video.
I ain't here for the money, I ain't here for the fame. Though it might be nice to own a jet plane, I'ma do it all for you. Come along and see it's true, but the world is pretty cold. You might need a sweater too. I'ma put a ride on you.